Welcome back. Now that we've covered the difference between machine learning AI and generative AI, let's take a deeper dive into how generative AI actually works. You might be wondering, how can AI generate text, create images, or even write code? It almost seems like magic, but there's actually a very structured process behind it. Think of generative AI like a master storyteller. Imagine someone who has read every book, watched every movie, and listened to every conversation ever recorded. When you ask them a question, they don't just repeat something they've heard before. Instead, they piece together patterns, words, and ideas to craft something entirely new. Generative AI works the same way. It doesn't just memorize information, it learns from vast amounts of data and predicts what should come next based on probability. At the core of generative AI is something called a large language model, or LLM. If machine learning AI is like a chef following a recipe, generative AI is like a chef who has read every cookbook ever written and uses that knowledge to invent new dishes. But here's the key. Generative AI doesn't just randomly throw ingredients together. It looks at everything it has learned and predicts what the most likely next step should be. Just like a chef knows that tomatoes and basil go well together, generative AI knows that certain words, phrases, and ideas are commonly associated with each other. These models are trained on massive amounts of data, billions of words, phrases, and concepts, from books, websites, and other publicly available content. They learn patterns, structures, and meanings, so when you give them a prompt, they predict what should come next based on what they've seen before. Think about the autocomplete feature on your phone. When you start typing, "Hey, how are," your phone suggests you, because it has learned that those words usually follow each other. Generative AI does the same thing, but on a much larger and more advanced scale. Right now, there are a few key companies leading the way in building these foundational models. OpenAI is one of the biggest names. You've probably heard of ChatGPT, which runs on their GPT-4 model. Google's DeepMind is developing its own AI models, including Gemini. Anthropic has built an AI model called Claude, which focuses on safe and high-quality responses. Meta, the company behind Facebook, has been developing open-source AI models like Llama. These companies are pushing AI forward in different ways, using different datasets, training techniques, and optimizations to improve performance. So, what actually happens when you type something into a generative AI model? Let's say you ask it to describe the ocean. The AI first breaks down your request into small pieces called tokens. A token could be a word or even just part of a word. Then it analyzes patterns from everything it has learned and starts predicting what should come next. A token could be a word or even just part of a word. Then it analyzes patterns from everything it has learned and starts predicting what should come next. It doesn't randomly generate words, it calculates the most likely sequence based on billions of examples. It might decide that the most logical next word is blue. The AI then continues generating one word at a time, constantly predicting the next best option based on probabilities. All of this happens in a matter of seconds, thanks to the massive computing power running behind the scenes. And it's not just about text. The same principles apply to AI models that generate images, code, music, and even videos. These models all use the same basic approach, predicting what should come next based on patterns they've learned from massive data sets. Of course, generative AI isn't perfect. It can sometimes generate incorrect or biased information because it's only as good as the data it was trained on. It also doesn't truly understand meaning. It's just really good at predicting the most likely response. That's why training and human oversight is important. AI is a powerful tool, but it still needs critical thinking and fact-checking to be truly useful in business. Of course, generative AI isn't perfect. It can sometimes generate incorrect or biased information because it's only as good as the data it was trained on. It also doesn't truly understand meaning. It's just really good at predicting the most likely response. That's why human oversight is important. AI is a powerful tool, but it still needs critical thinking and fact-checking to be truly useful in business. To sum it up, generative AI is powered by large language models, which are trained on massive data sets to predict and generate human-like responses. Companies like OpenAI, Google, Meta, and Anthropic are leading the way in AI development. The technology isn't perfect, but with human oversight, it's becoming an incredibly valuable tool for businesses. That's it for this lesson. In the next session, we're going to explore the evolution of AI models, how we got from the earliest AI systems to today's powerful generative models. Stay tuned!